So, today we're going to talk about something that really blurs the line between love and pure terror. It's one of those things that sounds like it was ripped straight out of a horror movie, but it's terrifyingly real for the people who actually go through it. Just let that sink in for a second. The person you've built your entire life with, the face you know better than your own, is suddenly a complete stranger. A perfect, flawless replica, but a stranger. And here's the kicker. This isn't some paranoid fantasy, you know? It's not a plot from a sci-fi movie. It's a real, documented neurological condition. The person feeling this isn't just losing their mind. No, their brain is inventing a very specific and utterly horrifying story to explain a feeling that just doesn't make any sense. Well, this nightmare, it actually has a name. So let's pull back the curtain and look at the clinical reality behind all this horror. It's called the Capgras Delusion. And it's this unshakable belief that someone you love has been swapped out for an identical double. And I mean unshakable. It's not just a passing doubt. Every single detail looks right. The face, the voice, they even remember your shared past. But the brain's conclusion is always the same. This person is a fake. So you have to ask, right? What in the world could cause something so specific and so bizarre? How can your brain perfectly recognize someone but at the exact same time reject them so completely? The answer, as it turns out, is all about a massive disconnect. To really get this, we have to look at how our brains process the world. A lot of the time, this is triggered by something like a traumatic brain injury or dementia. The secret to Capgras is this fundamental internal conflict between what our eyes see and what our hearts feel. Think of it like this. Your brain has two pathways for recognizing someone you love. The first is the what pathway. It's your visual system, and it says, yep, all the data matches, that is the face of my wife. But then there's a second absolutely crucial system, the who pathway. This one connects to your emotional core and gives you that feeling of warmth, of familiarity, of love. In Capgras, the what pathway is working just fine, but the who pathway, it's gone dark. The visual recognition is there, but that emotional spark is completely gone. So here's what the brain does with that conflict, and this is the really wild part. It gets perfect visual data, but gets zero emotional feedback. Nothing. Your rational mind just can't square that circle. It thinks, well, if that is my wife, why do I feel nothing? Why do I feel this dread? So to solve the puzzle, it makes up a new story. It looks just like her, so it must be an imposter, a perfect copy. It's a terrifyingly logical answer to a completely illogical problem. And this neurological glitch, it taps into some of our deepest, most primal fears. Believe me, this is way more than just a medical curiosity. It is a perfect recipe for psychological horror. I mean, think about it. First, you totally lose trust in your own feelings. The person you love more than anyone suddenly inspires nothing but dread. Second, it's like the ultimate uncanny valley, but for intimacy. A robot that looks almost human is creepy, right? Well, a person who looks exactly like your spouse but feels wrong, that's a whole other level of terror. And finally, it's just so isolating. Can you imagine trying to convince your friends, your family that your husband's been replaced by a doppelganger and no one believes you? You're completely trapped in a nightmare that only you can see. And that's really the heart of it all. The monster isn't in the house. The monster is the total collapse of the very system your brain uses to recognize love and safety. It's an internal horror story, and your own mind is the villain. Now, while Capgras is incredibly rare, what it reveals about the human brain is universal. It pulls back the curtain on the very nature of our connections and shows us just how fragile all of it really is. When you really break it down, the imposter is just a story the brain tells itself to cope. The real horror of Capgras, well, that's something much deeper, and it's something that's relevant to every single one of us. Love, trust, that feeling of knowing someone, these things that we think define our lives aren't some kind of abstract, magical force. They're the product of specific, delicate wiring inside our skulls. Capgras is this chilling reminder that if just one of those little wires gets clipped, the person you love the most can become the source of your deepest fear. It shows us that our entire emotional reality is built on a foundation we can't even see, and we definitely can't always control. So it makes you wonder, what does it truly mean to know someone when the feeling of knowing can just vanish?